Uh, so the question of the day is name a missions moment, a time when the whole missions thing came together for me. And I'm going to give you a moment, but there's a whole process leading up to that moment. There's so many moments over the last number of years. It's hard to pick one. So I'll give you the moment, then let me give you the process. The moment is that we're sitting in this little village, and and the Muslim chief of the next village over, he comes over to me after I finish speaking. I think he's not listened to a single thing that I've said. He's stone-faced. But he came over to me afterwards and he says, I want you to come to our village. I want our people to hear about this Jesus. So that was the moment, but you have to take it in context. It's rarely just a moment. It's really a process. And the process began maybe in 2012, 2013, when David and I started talking about going to the Nuba Mountains. Nuba we were in South Sudan at the time, been working there for several years, but Nuba, under attack, under siege, the people were hungry, they were under fire, they were being bombed, they were being starved, they were being poisoned, and we just felt like we needed to be up there somehow. Nobody was getting in, nobody was coming out. So we somehow make our way to the outskirts of Nuba, to Yidda, a refugee camp, in 2014. But we never made it out of the refugee camp. We were there for 7 or 8 days, but we couldn't get out because the fighting was so bad. And it's really a good thing that we didn't get out, because we never would have made it where we were going. We weren't prepared. We didn't know what we were doing. We had no contacts. We had no nothing. We learned a lot that week. That was 2014. We didn't really get back into Nuba until late 2016. David and I went in, and we distributed some aid. We took some, they wanted soap, they wanted salt. We asked why they wanted salt. Well, they wanted salt because they were eating leaves and grass, and they needed something to cook their leaves and grass with. So we gave them soap, we gave them salt, we gave them school supplies. We went back in following spring, took in some more relief, a lot more grain. We went back the following fall, it was late 17, went again a couple of times in 18. We went to this little village, and we were not very welcome there. It was an all-Muslim village. We dropped off some relief. We spoke maybe 10 minutes, didn't feel safe. We left. But then 2 years later, we're back at the adjacent village. We're almost at the moment. We're at this adjacent village, and we're given a conference. This is a village. It's about half Muslim, half Christian. And we're doing a church conference, and they had the local dignitaries there to greet us, as they always are. And the chief from the neighboring village came. And he sat for a day, sat for another day, and sat for another half a day as we spoke. And he was like this. I mean, he never looked up. When he did look up, he was not very open or welcoming. I'm thinking, man, we don't have a chance with this guy. We'll never come back here. I didn't think he's listening to a single thing that we're saying. When we get done, and here's that moment again. We get done, and he comes over to me, again, thinking he's heard nothing, and he says, I want you to come to our village. His village is all Muslim. It's 20, 30 minutes from where we were. He said, I want you to come to our village. I want you to do a conference for us. I want to hear about this Jesus, and I want our people to hear about this Jesus. And the reason I picked that is because missions to me is not really a moment. It's a series of moments, but it's a process. We could never have gone into that village the first time and done what we did. But because we set the foundation, because we made relationships, because we met people, because we endured hardships with them, because we brought food and medicine and school supplies, and because we lived with them and ate with them and just gathered with them and established those bonds, it demonstrated something maybe that they didn't have. And in that moment, when he said, I want you to come back, and I want our people to see this Jesus, that was the culmination of all of those moments. So we went back in December 2019. We went to that village. And for 3 days, we spoke to that group of villagers, almost all Muslims. There were imams there. There were village leaders. There were, gosh, 200 or 300 people, I suppose. And they just listened with rapt attention as we talked to them about this Jesus. David Fuller told me very early on, when we first started doing this, he said, answering the call, it's about going an inch wide. No, excuse me. It's about going an inch wide and a mile deep. It's about establishing relationships. It's not dropping in, dropping relief and leaving. It's about going and going and returning and returning. That to me is what missions is all about. That's why I love what we do at Answering the Call. It's been a privilege. Thank you.